So this is the entire stevia harvest, and in this video I'm going to show you how we harvest, dry, and process it. So stevia is harvested, processed, and sold in really just two ways. The first is as a leaf, and the second is as a powder. Some people do like them raw because, let me tell you, this is so sweet. Stevia is sweet, like sugar. And so some like to put a raw leaf on there and people get a bite and it just kind of blows your mind. But most others will take the leaves whole, dried. For the powdered form, take and harvest all the leaves, dry them, grind them into a powder. People will then can just scoop and add it as a natural sweetener that way. Now you're gonna find some stevia that is like white. That's not what I'm going to show you how to do. This is really going to be the most minimal way of processing the plant. So first, how to harvest. I'm going to recommend the way I do it, which is to chop all the leaves off right now, fresh out the ground or the tower. And what I would do is you just come, pull off the branch from the bottom up and start chopping and dividing them, some clean container, one by one. It's about 3.5 ounces. We still have this much more. Okay, once you have all the leaves harvested off and spread out, next is going to be drying them. Now there's 3 ways you can do this. The first way is to put this right out into the sun. Come back when it's dry and crispy, works well. The second way is going to be in an oven. You could do this, but I like the last way, which is a dehydrator. We want these leaves for the sweetness, but anything above 130 is going to totally remove the nutritional value. I'm going to keep that, so dehydrator is best at like 120, 125. Now, assuming you're going to use a dehydrator like me, this is a typical sheet that you'll get that you spread out whatever you want to dry and then you put it in. This is why we harvested this now, because I'm going to sort these and dry them by leaf size. On one sheet, I'm going to have all the big leaves, and then on another sheet, I'm going to have, all the little guys spread out. Now, why am I doing this? The bigger leaves can be dried and sold whole, whereas the smaller leaves, some may want as a live garnish, but those are better to dry and grind into different powders. Look at the stevia market. Look at the products. What you typically see are dried whole leaves sold. So the smaller guys, some of which you could dry and throw in there, typically are best to be dried and ground into a powdered sweetener, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do. And in the description, I have a link to the exact dehydrator that I use. And now to the last step, we're going to blend and grind it. Now, this is a commercial grade blender. You don't need one this nice. I've seen people do just fine on handheld blenders, a NutriBullet, something like that. It may take a little longer. You may have to even sort of adjust in between blends, but they're both going to do the same job. And this is very simple. All you're going to do is take the dried stevia leaves, put it in your blender, and blend it up. All right, so we got everything. The stevia is dried and ready. So we're going to put it in the blender, grind it up. Then we're gonna... Now, once your dried stevia is ground and blended, you're then going to use a sifter, which is essentially a screen with a lot of small holes. You're going to dump it into a sifter and then you sift. The smallest particles are going to fall through, and that's going to be what is the final powdered stevia sweetener product. It's very fine, it makes it very potent, it has a long shelf life, and that's what can then be used in pretty much anything that you would use a traditional sugar sweetener in. You may have some larger stevia on top, just not as small to fall through. You could technically use that too. I see some people, they'll just repackage them into like other types of stevia products. You can find links in the description for this sifter and the blender that I use. If you want to learn more about how I grew my stevia, the conditions, some info about germination, check out this video, or maybe I'll throw a thumbnail right here. All right, and here is our final powdered stevia sweetener. May not look like much, it's definitely a bunch in there. It's a big jar. Keep in mind that I also keep a lot of the big leaves. We jar these up because these are sold dry whole. And all that excess that doesn't get sifted, you can also put that off to the side. You can use it yourself, but there it is. That is how you process your stevia into the powder. And I just really appreciate you guys watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.